What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall markets. I want to talk about some things that Cash Curry from the Fed is saying that caused the market to dip a bit, what's likely going to happen with President Trump's tariffs, and what you should be watching for as time goes on. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30, and the offer ends at the end of March in just 5 days. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with this market. So one thing that happened was we had Cash Curry giving a speech from the Fed, and he said some things that may have contributed to why the market sold off a bit. So I want to talk about what he said. Then we'll break down the technicals and other pieces of data. So Cash Curry said that we've made a lot of progress to bringing down inflation, but there is still a lot of work to be done. There's lots of policy uncertainty when it comes to tariffs, and it's complicating the Fed's job. The job market has stayed strong, but the biggest challenge is to finish the job. Then Kashkari said that after the 2018 tariffs, we saw less reshoring of manufacturing to the US than other countries. So by saying things like that, I think it wasn't the best for the markets, especially because he is talking about a lot of uncertainty. He did mention that in the next year or two, we ought to be able to reduce interest rates further, but it takes a very seriously long time to hit the confidence. So the longer it lasts, the more meaningful it's going to be. And then he said that confidence could be restored. That's the good news. But right now, he's very uncertain about the effect of tariffs. And for now, he basically said that with a lot of the things going on with interest rates and tariffs, we should just sit where we currently are, implying the Fed should just keep rates as they currently are for the time being. So that's what he's been saying. For now, he's very uncertain about the tariffs. He did mention that in the past, tariffs um, they weren't as effective at bringing back manufacturing to the U.S. in his opinion. Not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's what he said. And then he started to go on about how there's a lot of uncertainty right now involving the future of the Fed's policies. He does believe that in 1 to 2 years out, the Fed is going to reduce rates more. But for now, he mentioned that there's just so much uncertainty and the Fed should just keep rates the same. So when he said that, I think that's contributing to why the market sold off a little bit. And then when it comes to President Trump, we have a very, very mixed view of tariffs. Trump has been hyping up April 2nd, saying it's going to be very big for the US. He also mentioned that he may have to be even more lenient than previously expected. That's why the market saw a bit of a push upon open, only to sell off a bit. But this is what we have when it comes to the tariffs, right? We have the steel and aluminum import tariffs that have been imposed. Then we have the European ones that were delayed so far. The Canadian Mexican ones, some of them have been imposed, but keep in mind that for the ones that agree with the USMCA's regulations, those are delayed until April 2nd. And then when it comes to China, he enacted another 10% tariffs, which adds up to about 20% in total. And then finally, the Venezuelan tariffs, we could be seeing secondary tariffs on those, another 25% tariff on them taking effect on April 2nd. Trump said that he's willing to be more lenient. So he's willing to be more lenient than previously expected, but he is still talking about the possibility of increasing tariffs on automotives, pharmaceuticals, and different industries. That's what President Trump's view has been so far. Besides that, I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy on the news. So, what do I think is going to happen to the market from this point on? Well, it's very simple, okay? SPY dipped to 572.5. That's what I mentioned would be tested if we lost 574. But I said in order for us to be bullish, I wanted to see us break 576. If we held above that, we would have been a lot more bullish. We haven't been able to break past that yet, so this is what's going on. We're technically just range bound right now. Look at the last 2-3 days where we were just going back and forth between 572 and 575. We're technically still in a range. So we have resistance now at 574.5. That's very close to where these EMAs are going to be in between them. And then we have 576. If we break 576, we're more bullish, looking for 578 to 580. If we lose 572.5, I do expect us to dump towards very close to the 570 area, close to the 200 EMA. So lose 572.5, we're bearish. Break 576, we're more bullish, and we're just in a range for now. So keep that in mind. And that's going to be very key for how things end up developing, at least thus far. I also want to mention that as we're in this range, as far as SPY is going, we're just kind of choppy right now. So we don't really have a strong direction yet. We're just in a range until we see one of these levels break. So watch for that very closely. We'll see if we lose support, if we break resistance, and be very patient. For The QQQ, if we break past 492, we're looking for some more bullish price action. Get back above 492, and I could be looking for a test of these highs, if not a bigger breakout. If we lose support at the 487 area, we're looking for a dump below 485 to be a bit more bearish. This was like a head and shoulders pattern, but we're at support, so we'll be watching to see how we end up holding. So we're looking at this 487 area, 487.5 area as our main support. And we have this resistance around 490, so we'll see which way we end up going as we're range bound. So just keep that in mind as we're just going back and forth between these levels. The QQQ is a little bit weaker than SPY because Nvidia has sold off quite a bit due to some negative news that came out. So keep that in mind. But overall, we remain more range bound. On the IWM Russell 2000, we're also making lower highs. I would like to see us break past 208s to really bounce. Otherwise, this may continue to decline towards the 206.5 area. So it's just a small decline. This is still very resilient. It's also holding up better than SPY and the QQQ so far. On ES, we have to hold 5,800. If we lose that, we dip to 5,780. If we hold 5,800, we could be looking for a bounce back up towards 5,820 at the very least. So it depends. Do we bounce 20 points from 5,800 or do we end up dumping that much? We'll see just to be safe. Watch to see if 5,800 holds. We're kind of shuffling for the time being, which means we're technically still range bound on ES. So give it some time to see if this bounce comes into effect. On NQ, we have 20,236. If this holds, we could be looking for a rebound to 20,400. And if this fails, we're going to be looking for a dip back down to 20,100. We're in the middle, so give this some time. So overall, we're just kind of stuck right here, and we'll see how this goes. I am seeing that NQ is trying to hold 20,200, so it's a good sign. It might try to bounce off this, but we'll see just to be safe. So wait for confirmation. Can we hold 20,290? If we hold this, we could be looking for a rebound move. If not, we're looking for a bigger decline, at least as time goes on. So I'm sorry, it's 20,235, not 20,290. 20,235 is the main support to watch for. That's what we're going to be watching to see if we hold, by the way. For Bitcoin, we're technically in a range. We're trying to hold our 200 EMA. If we hold 86,600, we could be bouncing for 87,500. If we lose support right here, we're looking for a dump back down. So it has to hold 86,600. We'll see if this holds or not. I also want to mention that Bitcoin is range bound. So notice around the 86,500 we bounce and around the 88,500 we reject. We're just kind of going back and forth for now. So we're holding support. So we'll give this some time if we can push towards 87,000. So give it some time. For Nvidia, we got this rejection. We're watching 114 as our main support. If that fails us, this could be dipping back down towards 111. If we hold this 114 to 115 area, we could try to bounce for 117. So it's barely holding support right now after we got some negative news. So please be very, very careful. There's going to be some new chip export rules coming out. That's the reason why I think we are seeing a bit of a decline. We'll see if 115 holds. If it holds, we could bounce. If not, we could be dumping. So it's barely at support. If it fails, I see us dipping towards if 114 specifically fails us, we dip towards 110. If we could hold 114 to 115, we could be looking for a bounce for 117. So it all depends if we can hold support right here. We're barely at support. Tesla's looking decent. If we lose 274, we look for a decline to 270. If we hold 274, we're looking for a bounce for 280. So we're kind of stuck between 280 and 274 going back and forth. So please keep that in mind. For Apple, we're technically on an uptrend right now. If we end up losing 222.8, we're looking for a decline all the way down towards these lower levels. And if we hold support, we could be looking for 225 as our target. We're in the middle, so give it some time. So keep that in mind, at least thus far. But in my opinion, I think that Apple's looking bullish still a bit more resilient because we haven't even lost 222.5 yet. We're technically on an uptrend. We're just consolidating for now, but this has upside potential. It's still very resilient. Coinbase is a little bit weak. If we lose 195, I do see us dipping to fill the gap towards 190. We got to get back above 202 to bounce. So be careful. We're barely holding support at 195 right now. If we lose that, we turn more bearish. Otherwise, we're technically range bound between 195 and 200. Amazon's looking a bit more decent. I want to see it reclaim 204. If that is reclaimed, we're looking for a bigger bounce for 208. If we lose 201, we're looking for a decline to 200. So we're kind of stuck in the middle, but I think there's a good chance we try to push for 204 plus. Meta is a little bit more on an uptrend. However, I would like to see us reclaim 623 to really bounce. If we lose 609, we're looking for a decline back down to fill this gap towards 596. But I see some upside potential for 622. For Microsoft, we're looking a bit more bullish. If we hold above 394, we're looking for an attempt for 396. If we end up losing 392, we could turn back down. This is looking a little decent. We're technically just in a range. We're very choppy right now, so please be careful. It dipped only to get bought back up, so it looks like it's showing strength. But the problem is we haven't broken resistance yet around that 396 area. We're just kind of stuck. Google's also kind of stuck. We need to reclaim 171 to bounce. If we lose 170, we could be dipping to 168. So watch 168 to 171 is our range. Whichever way we break is going to be very big, so keep that in mind. Last but not least, the VIX is trying to rebound a bit. We're going to see if we reject off 17.63 or if we break past that. We're in the middle right now. So this tells me that the market could still try to bounce here if the VIX gets a big rejection, or vice versa. If the VIX ends up bouncing off our 20 EMA and breaks out past 18, it's going to be bullish. That's bearish for stocks. So we'll see. Overall, the market is showing me signs that it wants to base, so we'll see how well we end up holding up. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. We haven't lost critical support yet, so do not turn into some kind of like perma bear just yet. Don't turn way too bearish because the market is still technically attempting to hold support. And for the time being, there's a lot of buyers who are trying to defend us at 572.5 on SPY. So if we lose that, yes, I will turn bearish. If we hold that, we could try some kind of rebound. So keep that in mind. I'm just here to be unbiased when I say that. Thank you for listening. Be careful with trading options. There's a lot of chop right now. And I wish you all the best moving forward. Thank you for listening and peace out.